Welcome to Chalk Talk, a weekly preview of West Tennessee football featuring the Jackson Sun sports team here on JacksonSun.com.
Hi everybody, welcome to Week 9's high school football edition of the JacksonSun.com Chalk Talk. My name is Craig Thomas. This is a sports editor and high school football beat writer, Brandon Shields. We had a really great week in Week 8, a lot of exciting games, a lot of district standings kind of shaken out a little bit.
Yeah.
Week 9 is another important week. We got several good games to talk about, and several of them involving some teams right here in the city of Jackson. The Northside Indians took their first loss this past week. They will go to South Gibson and play the Hornets. What do you think?
Well, a few people I've talked to this week, for some reason, tend to think that Northside's going to win this one by a big one, by a lot of points. But when you look at the fact that Northside's won a lot of games by a few points, won a few close games, South Gibson's lost a few close games, I guess maybe you could, just looking at the records, you could kind of surmise that. But no matter who they play, even last week when they lost by a pretty good margin to Crockett County, South Gibson played well with Crockett County for a little while before they wound up kind of pulling away there in the second half. So South Gibson is certainly able to give Northside a better game than a lot of people seem to expect. This is going to be an interesting game to watch because of Tyler Dysert, their sophomore running back, who's gained a lot of a lot of yards on the ground for South Gibson this year, scored a few touchdowns. He's a Northside transfer. So that just, when you throw that dynamic in there, one, you think, wow, he's been really good. He's going to be really good for South Gibson. But two, how much better would Northside be if he were still there this year? I mean, it was a weapon for them. So should be a good game. I think you were there last year when South Gibson nearly beat Northside at the reservation, but Northside had to pull out, I think, another trick play there at the end. So I don't know if it'll be that close, but it'll be a fun game to watch.
All right, TCA was blown out last year by Evangelical Christian School. Get another crack at them this week. They've had a good several weeks here. TCA has. What do you expect for the Lions this time around?
Well, again, I don't know if they're going to be good enough to beat ECS this time around. I'm not saying they're not, because quite honestly, I don't know that much about ECS other than the fact they didn't beat USJ this year by as much as they did last year. So, if we're going to compare scores and kind of look at it that way, I guess we can. The one thing that I like for TCA going in is the fact that I think they're a little more prepared mentally for this game. If you remember last year, both teams were going into this matchup 8-0. It was the biggest game in the state for that week. It's still one of the bigger games in the state this week, but it's kind of, with each team having a loss or two, it's kind of removed some of the shine off the matchup. But it's still going to be a good one. But for TCA, this one's going to be an important one, just kind of on the outside looking in from my vantage point. If TCA wants to really prove that they are a team that can compete on the state championship level and not just win a lot of games and get beat in the playoffs before they get to Cookeville, maybe not even winning this game, but seriously competing with one of the better teams on this end of the state, private school or not, no matter what size, if they can compete with ECS, it'll prove a lot to me personally about their chances when they get to the postseason.
All right. Chester County had a massive win last week over Lexington, something that got pretty much everybody in Henderson talking, I think, just given the history there and the significance of that win. They're coming up here to Jackson to play USJ this week. Is this a little bit of a trap game for Chester?
It very well could be. In fact, I think I may have even said on radio a couple times this week that I'm almost expecting it to be because, it's definitely the biggest win for Chester County, possibly since Michael Hogan's been there, but definitely since 2011 when they made that run to the state quarterfinals. They control their own destiny for the district championship. They haven't quite won it yet, but it's pretty much theirs to lose. But even Coach Hodem mentioned in a story, I think you were there with me when I was talking on the phone with him earlier this week, and he was talking about how the guys were coming in with a lack of focus, and veteran coaches are going to be ready for that because they've seen the kids after coming off a big win. There's going to be a little more energy, a little more, just more tendency to enjoy practice a little more, try to enjoy practice and workouts a little more early in the week. but hopefully since that point, if you're a Chester County fan, you're hoping that the coaching staff has been able to get these guys focused on the task at hand. And but if they win, if they were to get this win, it would give them a ton of momentum going into that McNary game next week.
You speak of momentum, Liberty, a big win over Northside this past week in that city game we referred to earlier, playing Millington this week. What do you expect out of that?
A good game. Talking with Steve Hookfin, Liberty's head coach, earlier in the week, he talked about how Millington and Liberty's seasons have kind of mirrored each other. They're both coming into this game 6-2. Liberty's losses are to Brentwood Academy and MUS, whereas Millington's losses are to MBA, who beat Brentwood Academy, and Arlington, which was essentially in their district championship last week. So, nobody's got a bad loss coming into this one. And I know Liberty's, that 23-point win that they had last week against Northside is probably their closest game they've had in Class 4A play. And I think Middleton's kind of had a similar situation when they're playing against teams in their own district. They're essentially blowing them out of the water. So it's going to be a good game. Millington is an older team. Liberty got the win in Jackson last year. I think the score was 26-14, something like that. Liberty's defense is going to have to work a lot harder, but Liberty's got a better defense. So I don't know if I would pick the Liberty win in this one, but I like their chances.
And there are a couple other games involving city teams you want to talk about real quick.
Yeah, JSUN Southside, that's going to be a fun game to watch. I don't know if either team's really got much of a chance to make the playoffs, but you got a team from South Jackson playing a team that's mostly from East Jackson. They're going to be playing for that city bragging rights. Everybody's talking when it comes to public school football in Jackson. All the attention goes to Liberty and Northside, but these two teams are playing for a good bit of pride as well. That should be a good one. And then the other game is Jackson Christian going down to McNary. McNary's kind of picking up some momentum. They're still in that hunt for the District 14A championship and runner-up position, depending on if they can beat Chester County next week. But at times their offense has had a hard time getting the ball down the field. So if Jackson Christian can get its defense playing well enough to stop the big guys that McNary's got, this is going to be an interesting game.
All right, well, lots of games to look forward to involving some of the City of Jackson teams. Make sure to stick with us for coverage throughout the week. Like us on Facebook at Jackson Sun Sports. Follow this guy on Twitter, JS Editor Brandon. He'll have halftime and full game scores for you, and then also just in-game updates from the game he'll be at. I'm still kind of working all that stuff out as far as the scheduling goes, but
Sure.
Lots of good games to look forward to. Get that Friday morning paper with the blitz and the stats sections with the preview capsules for a lot of these local games, and then the stats, see who the leading rushers and passers are and that sort of thing as well, tacklers, all that stuff. So and then obviously Friday night, Saturday morning, check out JacksonSun.com. Get a printed edition of the Jackson Sun. I mean, this is the best source for high school football in West Tennessee, no doubt about it. So
Only source.
We hope you take advantage of that. But other than that, enjoy the games. Have a great week.
See ya.